But you said that you hope that this novel gives young people the courage to question. What do you mean by that? And what specifically would you like them to question?
Well, I'm not going to answer that. So I don't like to be heavy-handed in my writing. If you ask 1,000 people their opinion on a topic, you'll get 1,000 different answers, and probably they all have a thread of truth. So I think if I just spat out my own personal opinion, it would be difficult for children to internalize that and make sense of it. I think if I'm hoping middle grade readers will read the story, see injustices, understand the complications, and then reflect on their own lives. How does this link back to their own lives? Do they see parallels? And, hopefully be able to internalize everything and come to their own decisions.
So what is what tips do you have? I was going to say, what's the secret, but that's too much. Let's say, what tips do you have about writing and guiding young people toward having the types of thoughts that you want them to have without being heavy-handed, without spoon-feeding them? What's the conclusions you're hoping they'll come to?
I mean, I try to stay away from answering specific questions. In a way, 1938 lent itself to that, right? Because, I'm not going to answer that because that will give away spoilers to the book.
Fair enough.
But, you have to understand at the time, the characters had no idea what was coming. They really didn't. Nobody could possibly imagine in 1938 it would jump from this to that. And the year definitely saw a lot of drastic changes, but still the slope, I would never in a million years have guessed what the endpoint would have been. So I wrote, or I partnered in writing a really good educational guide, which is included at the end of the book, a discussion guide. And in addition, on my website, you can download a teacher's guide. It's a multi-page teacher's guide tied to the core curriculum. And we, inserted many questions that would hopefully help middle grade readers internalize the content and link it back to their everyday lives.
Gotcha. And so that's something that can be downloaded by all teachers that want to teach this in their classes. And when you do something like that, do you get your editor and your publisher involved? Or are you doing that on your own and they say, yeah, okay, that's good? What's the process?
For me, it was the latter. I don't know how, I guess every publishing house is probably different, but for me, it was just, I developed this and, my awesome publisher said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And so, that was that.
Gotcha. And then let's talk a little bit about the process that brought this book out. Because it's something that struck me as, what's the word? Just interesting. When I was reading your bio initially, like award-winning children's author's debut novel. Like, how does that work?
Well, there are many writing contests for unpublished novelists. So I submitted to a bunch, and I was very fortunate that this was recognized. I have to tell you, I guess most people will agree with this, but in 2015, when I started subbing it out to agents, the reaction I got was, this is a saturated area. There's no more room. Another Holocaust book, and in some regards, sure, it is crowded and there have been a million stories, but I insisted, there's been very few stories told over Kristallnacht that are confined to 1938. And from what I know, there's been no stories told over Kristallnacht with two alternating perspectives and, points of view.
And certainly none told by you.
Yeah.
Prior to this.
Yeah.